Hey folks, I'm Lonbridge, a dark magic practitioner. Call me what you will, it's all the same. I run a school of dark magic and a center for magical assistance, offering free qualified magical and psychological help to those in need. As part of this project, we also offer free legal advice to anyone who needs it. You can request this help too. The link is in the description. Today, I want to discuss an important topic, light and dark, the so-called opposing forces. The issue is, this conflict only exists in the minds of light practitioners. In reality, there are no epic magical battles on rooftops, no astral karate fights. Most dark practitioners don't engage in any of that. Except for rare cases like my channel, you won't find dark magicians openly discussing their practices online. Typically, it's the light practitioners who talk about occult movements, as they're more socially active. I've decided to start a new live chat format on my channel. I want to create content like this, probably podcasts about magic, where I'll explain how things really are from a dark magician's perspective, since I am one myself. It's easier for me to see how often light practitioners blatantly lie about us and spread ridiculous stories. There's no other way to describe it. I've heard so much nonsense while preparing this podcast, it's mind-boggling. Let's start by explaining how the choice of power sides works and who are the light and dark ones. To simplify, occultism has two axioms or immutable rules. These are the principles of similarity and sympathetic connection. Today we'll focus mainly on the principle of similarity, as it helps understand our topic. The principle of similarity states, as above, so below. The small reflects the large reflects in the small, and so on infinitely. This formed the basis for natural philosophy and many books on plants, herbs, crystals, etc. In theory, it's quite simple if we exaggerate. For example, walnuts are good for the brain because they resemble it. Yes, it sounds silly, but that's how it works and was accepted as a foundation. This way we can scale and study certain things. I've written before that in today's world, Satan's more likely to show up with a gold pen and Prada suit than with fire and pitchfork. As the world has changed, so have the subtle planes. Everything's different now. It's not like we've grown civilized while Zeus still wears a toga on Olympus. That's not how it works. It never has and never will. So we can view the world of witchcraft through the lens of globalization. For instance, when we say light, we mean a certain flow, not egregore, a term you might not understand yet. These are specific types of egregores with certain spirits that magicians make contracts with. At some point, when a beginner performs rituals or magical operations, they hit their personal power ceiling. They can't do work stronger than what they have already achieved. Each subsequent level becomes increasingly difficult. In this case, they have two choices: either years of training with an energy boost, but it's terribly long and there's no guarantee that it will come off. And the conclusion of a deal with the egregore and the egregores are absolutely different, which will be discussed further. There is the magic of order. There is the magic of chaos. Chaosists, they also call themselves, and it's both a new trend and an older one. All those who work with infernal entities, all those who work with demons, with some varieties of older gods. This could even be Egyptian gods and the like. This all falls within this category. These are the chaosists. There are dark magic arts. For example, I am a shadow artist and I mainly work with the elements of darkness and shadow. Yes, this is one and the same, although for some reason many have started to separate them. Mainly it's working with the inner state, not the outer, and it's quite specific. Most people choose what's more understandable to them, or more accurately, what's been imposed on them, because how do you know who to make a deal with? Go online, open forums, and there you will most likely come across people of light who will mainly attempt to sway you towards various types of religious egregores, or slightly more complex magical religions like the Order egregore, which is a light egregore. But that's nonsense. There's no such thing as light magicians. That's absurd. It's complete rubbish. It's as ridiculous as saying burger magicians exist or magicians of some byproduct. Fire exists. It's an element. Fire burns and gives light. Light is a product of combustion. That's it. There's no such thing as light mages. It's outright heresy and plays on human stereotypes. Period. Hopefully that's clear. I might discuss this more in future podcasts. Looking at magical egregores through globalization, we see that hitting our limits means making a deal. If we skip the internet era and had a teacher who explained all options, we'd choose what suits us best. We might make a mistake and choose something unsuitable, but we had no other choice. If you break through the noise, mostly from the light ones, you'll see it's not just about morality. Morality is far removed from spirits. Most entities don't follow the same principles as ordinary humans do. What we consider good now has changed over time, and that's normal. But for spirits, it's all different. For them, death and suffering often mean nothing. I'm not talking about demons, but about supposedly good spirits. However, this is far from the truth. So these bright ones then tell you about triple retribution, about some sort of karmic heresy, persuading and trying to convince you that they are for everything good and against everything bad. Although in fact that's not the case. If we move away from the profanity and this light campaign, we will understand that morality has nothing to do with color. Color is exclusively determined by the source from which you draw energy for your work. In essence, let me remind you again, if we take the principle of resemblance and view everything through the prism of globalization, then we can compare the choice of an egregore with getting a job where there's a clear salary, a clear list of responsibilities, and certain corporate rules. That's all there is to it. At the same time, dark magicians don't belong to some evil conglomerate where it's necessary to eat children and drink the blood of newborns. All this nonsense is exclusively the propaganda of the light ones. The light ones are the executors of someone else's morality. That is, they have strict laws, there's a strict hierarchy where you do tasks and get rewards. It's more complex for dark mages. For instance, I'm a shadow mage. Here's a secret: shadow mages work with darkness. Actually, only shadow mages are truly dark magicians. Others are chaosites, order mages, ancient cults, etc. We don't have a rigid vertical hierarchy. Dark mages can interact with various entities without obligations. Our main principle is studying our shadow aspect. This is our source of power. Basically, color determines our power source. So light often plays on stereotypes and imposed thinking patterns where light is good and dark is bad. Remember, a child spends 9 months in complete darkness in the womb. This doesn't make them evil, nor are they cleansed of darkness at birth. The line between psychology and witchcraft is so thin, I'd rather not touch it. There's one simple thing to understand. Darkness isn't evil, and good isn't the same as order or light. Morality is unique to us as a biological species, as humans. When choosing Gregor, study what he offers and what you can offer him. It's crucial. By making a contract, you access energy to nourish and use in rituals. That's it. In fact, you remain a person with certain moral principles, even if you've chosen the dark side. But if you chose the light side and had your own morals, you'll have to give them up. For instance, recently, a couple months ago, a girl who experienced violence came to our Magic Help Center. I won't disclose I won't share details, and I don't think it's important. I'll just say this. She went to the authorities and law enforcement, resulting in them hinting that it wouldn't end well for her. And if she didn't back down, her loved ones would suffer, she'd suffer too, and maybe she should even move cities. Then the girl decided to seek help from, let's say, occult practitioners and chose the light ones. She found someone, approached him, and he told her it was a karmic lesson, that she had to accept it, forgive them, and let it go. The girl went to the next light being and received the same answer. She went to the third one and was told the same thing there. So what's the moral of the story, and where's the good in it? It's that you must forgive everyone when they do evil to you, while the evildoers feel great about it. These fairy tales that evil is always punished are nonsense, utter nonsense. If a person doesn't belong to the egregor of light, then the rules and laws of that egregor don't apply to him, meaning there will be no karmic backlash, no threefold retribution, nothing at all. The person will keep living as he always has. If we look at history and those who represented the criminal world, we'll see that no one punished them, nothing happened to them. Many lived to old age, built religious buildings, and passed away peacefully. No higher powers did anything to them or their families. This girl came to us. I sent her to one of my students who successfully helped her, then passed her to psychologists who are still working with her. This little story shows the absurdity of the light forces. So when you choose a certain side, understand that you're choosing responsibility for yourself. because no one will tell you that. How to act and how not to act. You can work hard and get paid a certain amount for it. Or you can choose not to work and not get paid. There are other ways to interact and get by. You can find a spirit who will give you energy in exchange for certain services. This doesn't mean drinking children's blood or engaging in other obscenities, but joining the light requires giving up most rights and possibilities. You must accept and strictly follow their dogmas. Calling this good is a stretch, as I said. Not all light is good, nor all dark evil. Ah yes, a little story to illustrate this point. While preparing this podcast, I stumbled upon the channel of a self-proclaimed light magician who boasted about using willpower to drive children out of a restaurant and parting crowds before him. It's baffling how someone claiming to work for the greater good can be so egocentric. I can't fathom hating children in general. Sure, you may not like them or find them annoying at times, but as an adult, you can simply get up and leave. Instead, he magically manipulated a group, likely changing their lives for the worse. There's no guarantee that family won't get into a fatal accident after this. He absolves himself of responsibility, claiming his light status grants him permission from higher powers. These are the types of light individuals living among us, supposedly helping people. In summary, regardless of one's chosen alignment, the burden of morality ultimately falls on the individual. Don't base your choices on common stereotypes. If you want to be light, that's fine. But remember, we've got all types here. Being good or evil depends on you, not who you work with. Painting all dark forces as bad is just plain ugly. Thanks for tuning into this short magic podcast. I hope you enjoy this format because I plan to make it a regular feature on the channel as extra content between our forgotten history videos and practical witchcraft tutorials. Like, subscribe, and see you next time.